I think I'm jamming. You know what? I think I'm jamming. Listen, I am jamming. I'm jamming. I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm listening to the music. I'm happy. Yes, that is what I look like being happy because not only did I make it at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but I got everything I need to make sure that this live segment right here, I give you everything you need and more, honey. Everything you need and more, honey. Listen, I am live. Y'all know I am a one woman show, honey. A one woman show. Therefore, I have to make sure that I am the engineer, I am the lighting technician, I am the sound auditor, I am the producer, I am the writer, I am the choreographer, I am the co producer. I am all the things for hood parenting over here on YouTube. Hello and welcome. If this is your first time here, welcome home. I am Yasheka and you are watching Hood Parenting. And honey, some people like to call me Fairy Godmother, okay? So Yasheka, also known as Fairy Godmother, and you are watching Hood Parenting on YouTube. This is where we come and I give you all of the things that I know that you need in order to be okay in this life, right? And so, one of the beautiful things about social media and the internet is that things on here last forever. And so, my goal here is to make sure that even if you don't know what you need right now, when you think about what you need years from now, or a couple of months from now, or however long from now, you can be like, you know what? I remember that lady, fairy godmother, said some things about this, okay? Because see, what I always say is life is three ways, right? It's like a being at a stop sign, right? A stoplight. You have yellow, you have green, you have yellow, you have red, right? In other words, you got three different ways in which things can go. Now, you don't have time to be moving pieces like one at a time, but like, let me move this a little bit over here, let me move this a little bit over here, let me see what happened, let me wait a little while. Baby, we ain't got that kind of time. We don't have that kind of time. But what we do have is intuition. We have understanding. We have logics. We have morals. We have beliefs. We have all the things that tell us the things that we supposed to keep and the things that we supposed to throw away. And so, unfortunately, and should I say fortunately and unfortunately, there are a lot of things throughout life that maybe we should throw away. And there are things that maybe we should pick up. And so we don't know. It just depends on what stage of our life is in. But what I do know is that you do not have to experience everything to get a lesson. Sometimes you could watch somebody else touch the fire and know the fire is hot, right? Go ahead and touch it. Listen, go ahead and drop a comment down below. Have you realized that in your life you have been able to learn things watching other people? Let me down below. Yes or no? Because see, I know that a lot of things that I went through in life, okay, and 333 was just on the clock. A lot of things that I went through in life, I didn't have to go through them myself. I could actually see other people go through those things, right? And I'm not talking about every single, I'm thinking about the things that had significant effects in your life. Like, for example, getting yourself caught up in trouble or having, and no disrespect to nobody that does it, but having a whole bunch of babies, right? Especially if you're single, whether you're single mom, single dad, whatever, right? Or if you're struggling. Like we know we've seen it before, having a whole bunch of babies don't get us anywhere. So this is what we do here on Hood Parenting. I'm one of them people that trying to, I give you a little bit of advice, give it to you through my experience, my own experiences, the things that I've done myself, things that I wish someone had told me, through the things that I've observed, through my education. Because, honey, y'all know I got a whole bunch of degrees, and if y'all need to see them, just go ahead and drop it down below. Be like, Yashika, fairy godmother, show me your degrees, honey. I'll show you all of the degrees I have and all the certifications I have, honey. So if it's not the degrees you want, it's the experience I lived on this earth so far for 53 years. And trust me when I tell you, I have 30 something more to go. Okay. And so I know that these are things you're going to need. So welcome, welcome, welcome to the neighborhood. All right. Listen, that was the longest introduction of time, okay? That was but I got my wine though, y'all. Today, y'all, I got a good one for you. Mm, 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 mm. The power of being authentically you. It's almost like, why do we even have to say that, right? Why do we even have to say the power of being authentically you? Because, see, there's so much power in that people ignore. And I believe that the reason why I really wanted to talk on this subject is because of something that I experienced not too long ago. And so, because of it, it made me start thinking about what is it that people need. And I think that right now, people are really, really needing authenticity. People needing real things. We have so many things that are filtered. There are marked X that are canceled, that are just, like all the things that people don't even know what's real and what's fake nowadays. Like we don't even know what somebody is, if it's an AI or not. I was watching this thing the other day, this reel. And initially I didn't even know that the reel was an AI reel, but it was a baby. And the baby had this t-shirt on that said something really cute about, if I'm not your baby, don't kiss me or something like that. However, the baby was singing a song. And so you could tell that the baby was in the video. The baby looked to be about maybe a year old, year and a half. And so the way it was set up, the parent was in the background. You couldn't see the parent, you could only see the baby. And the parent was trying to sing a song. I forget which nursery rhyme it was, but the child was attempting to sing along with the parent, but yet the child was making up her own little words, okay, because she could barely talk. And so throughout the whole time, she was giggling. And so on the side of me seeing it, it looked really authentic until I took a closer look at it and saw that in the at the bottom, the name of it was like something sprinkling your something baby AI. It was something like that, and so that was the name of the platform that posted it. And so I immediately saw this platform had like hundreds of thousands of followers, but it was literally about babies who were AIs, and it was just like things that make you smile. But it looked just so genuine, and because it really touched my heart, I really thought it was a baby. And so I say all this to say that we don't know what's real and what's fake these days because everything with AI and everything. And so I recognize that people are looking for authenticity. People are looking for people to be down to earth about what they want, who they are, just being themselves. And what I mean by themselves, I'm not saying, listen, when I say be yourself, I don't mean going into places and disrespecting the rules of it. Okay. Now, here's the thing, my platform is hood parenting. Okay. And I'm just giving this as an example, hood parenting, right? Which means I parent from a perspective of what I was raised with and what I've learned, not just educational from the Bible or just from social media or from when I say social media, I'm talking about what the world tells me I should teach my child, like Dr. Phil and all these parenting groups and things like that. And then real life, like I combine all these things, and that's how I parent. But what I do know is that this process right here, the hood, is what got me to here because it made me realize things that I wouldn't have realized had I been raised anywhere else. Because I learned about tenacity, I learned about resiliency, I learned about like Jimmy rigging things, I learned about being smart, I learned about just surviving. I learned so many things being raised in the hood that had I not been that way and raised in the city of Detroit, I know that there was a lot of things that I wouldn't have been able to overcome. Because when I tell you life will throw you storms, honey, and it's just not me, everybody. But I also survived something that only 1% of the world, the population does. And out of that 1%, only 20% of those people do. And that's retire for the United States military. And I did that after 25 years. And so I know that this right here is what was my foundation was built on. And so because of it, I was able to do those things along with doing so many other things that would have probably broken the average person. And I'm not saying that I don't have no scrapes and bruises, honey. I got a bruise right here to prove it. So I'm not saying I don't have no scrapes and no bruises, honey. But what I do know is that I stand on the other side of it and I've learned the lesson, right? I've learned the lesson. I don't need to go through certain things again. Okay. I've learned the lesson. I don't need to go through certain things again. And so what I recognize is that people need those stories. People need people to be themselves. People need people to tell them the real, the raw, the true, no matter how much it hurts. People need that. And so I recognize this every day. I have the beautiful life of being able to put together my own schedule. Now, I'm not saying that it's the way I want it to be because Lord knows, honey, baby, I cry at night just like everybody else. hmm That goes through things. You know, I have my woes, I have my ups and my downs, I have my ooh wees and woulda, shoulda, coulda. So I have those things just like everybody else. But what I also have is gratitude. I have appreciation. I have gratefulness. I have thankfulness. I have all the things that I know that I need in order to be here to say that, listen, I am truly, truly thankful for where I sit right now. Because although I know the world is the world, I know that all the things that I've been through allow me to sit right here at 53 and tell my stories to the world so that you can gain something from it, so that you can take something from it, so that you don't have to learn the lessons that I had to learn, or should I say, go through the things that I need to go through. And here's the thing: you're gonna have your own lessons to learn. You're gonna learn things that I wouldn't even imagine. You're gonna go through things that I can't probably even imagine, right? Because everybody's story is different. Nobody goes through this life without some type of grief, without some type of suffering. Unfortunately, you live long enough, you're going to experience it. Whether it's a loss of something, someone, a loss of self, loss of whatever. But what I do know is that people need to hear these things out loud. So this is what I do here to the parenting. So today we are talking about the power of being authentically you. And like I said, this is based on just some things that I've been going through the last few weeks, the last few months, the experiences that I've been having with people that is just like amazing. Okay. What I will say is this: you don't have to tell people who you are, right? They experience it. And it's just that simple. So, in other words, you don't have to bust into a room and say, hey, I am authentically me. I am this. I am that. I am this person. I am that person. You don't have to announce it. You don't have to do anything that needs to showcase or put a big old billboard on top of your head or anything like that. No, because why? Authenticity is something that is felt, not explained. Tell you a real quick story. And like I said, these are some of the things that I've been experiencing lately and conversations I've had with people. And that's how I know that this subject is something that needed, because we got to go back to being who we are and stop trying to fix ourselves for the world. But going to tell you a story. Now, I am a card holder. Okay. All the cards. All right. All the cards. But specifically, I'm talking about a medical card. I'm a medical card holder, and I have been for the last 2 years or so. For the last 2 years or so, I have been an active user of 420. If you know, you know. Okay. Now, with that being said, um, I was going somewhere the other day that needed me to take a flight. And so before I got on the flight, I sat outside on the bench in all of my glory and all of my beautifulness and all of my womanness and my dress and my whatever you want to call it. And I lit up. Okay. I went to the smoke area and I lit up. After a while, a gentleman come over there and he sat down next to me. And he said to me, he says, thank you. And I said, okay, well, good. Well, look, I love that for me, but honey, what did I do? Right? Because I had never met this man a day in my life. Okay. He said, thank you. I said, honey, I love that for me, but what did I do? He said, ma'am, it's apparent that you are exactly who you say you are. He was like, you are very authentic yourself. And I love that for you. I said, well, thank you. Now, mind you, this was the first time we've ever met in life. Okay. Never met this man a day in my life. But what he was telling me is that you looking the way you look, because see, people have a certain understanding or a certain concept or mind frame about what they think people look like that uses, right? They, because of course the world is still transitioning, right? Or changing. And so they have a certain concept. But I know that for me, honey, it helps the world that I go ahead and I use this product. Okay. I don't listen, I don't care about no judgment. I don't care about nothing. I know what I have to do for me. Okay. And so all I'm saying is that for me, it was one of those things that was very woman. And everybody that came around me, they looked at me and smiled like, girl, hey, we see you. Because it was one of those things like, honey, she don't like, she care about what nobody say. And I didn't. I did not at all. I was about to get on the flight. Not only that, but I knew my body was, listen, it was a whole thing. My body was aching, my back, my shoulder. Listen, it's a whole thing, but I don't need to explain that to nobody. But what I do know is that I was okay. I did what I had to do. I went on ahead and did what I finished up. I went on the inside. I went through pre-check, got myself checked on in, got on my flight. Everything was smoothly. That's it. And so, but what I do know is that that man said to me, thank you for being you. And for that, I knew, I was like, you know what? I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. Right. And so I'm not saying that that's what you're supposed to do. But what I am saying is that I didn't care about nobody else. And I was in this area that was designated for that. It was totally legal from where I sit. Right. The state I was in, it was totally legal. And plus, I have a carrying card. And so everything was totally legal. But people weren't used to seeing that in that environment. And I'm not, like I said, I was in the designated smoking environment. So it's not like I was standing in somebody's, so if you came in that area, it's because you wanted to be over there. Okay. But I just know that for me, it was one of those things that it was like, okay, I'm okay. I am. And I don't even know. The truth I think about it is that if I wasn't okay, in other words, if people had something to say about that, I wouldn't have cared necessarily. I wouldn't have cared. But it was nice to see that people were not like, what the heck, It was like they were, all right. And so for me, yeah, I thought that was something that I wanted to share. Okay. Now the other part of this is this: when you've already decided who you are, the room responds differently. And I don't care what nobody say. When you already decide who you are, the room will respond differently because you let people know that, listen, I do not care about what you say. Now, here's the thing: I want to be really clear when I say about caring what other people say. Now, it's this thing that goes around, and I'm only speaking from a woman's perspective because I hear this all the time, where you might have a woman that has on a certain dress or a certain attire. And again, I'm just telling you what the world says. And people will say something like, well, she must not have no friends because they should have told her that that wasn't the dress for her, or maybe that wasn't the outfit for her. Now, I don't mean when you talk about things like that, when you say, I don't care what people say. No, I'm not talking about things like that because we still have to carry ourselves a certain way if we want to be accepted into certain environments and if we want to be included into certain things. Now we just can't be out here just doing whatever we want to do. Okay, we just can't. Like for example, when I was talking about the 420 and it was a designated area, personally, I would not go to anywhere that's like the church house, even though they may have an area of the church house that's for you down there. Okay. I would not go somewhere like that and do something like that. Now, let's be clear. Okay. Because why? Because I know that there's a time and place for everything. And so for me, and that's what I mean. Like when I say be who you're going to be, but you still got to be respectful. Be respectful of your environment. Right. But at the same time, like I said, when you already decide who you are, the world will respond differently. Because why? They know that you don't care about what anyone has to say about who you are. One of the things that I do a lot of, and you can see here on my social media, and again, I can't speak from nobody else's perspective. This is from my lived experiences and what I've experienced watching other people and talking to other people. One of the things that I'm very expressive about is my dress. And what I mean by expressive is in my head, there's a lot of things that go on, right? There's a lot of things that go on in my head. There's a lot of like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know, right? Because I have neurodivergent and plus I know I have other things. And so I know there's always something going on. The way that I express myself is through my wear, through my clothing, right? I may have on some colors, or I may have on some patterns or some shapes that people look at me and be like, well, you know what? That actually goes together, right? Or it doesn't. I don't know. But what I do know is that it is a way for me to express myself. And so because it's a way for me to express myself, people see me and be like, you know what? She's really comfortable about who she is. And then part of it is because this is how I express myself. Like I'm just like this is how I feel in the inside, right? So if there's something going on, more than likely I'm going to display it in my dress. Unless there's something specific that I have to do, right? I'm going to always have on vibrant colors or asymmetric patterns or things that people be like, okay, because it's just part of who I am, because it allows me to express myself. It allows me to free that part of me that needs to be free. And so again, I don't care about if anybody doesn't like it. My colors might be too bright. My patterns may not match somebody's patterns. People might be like, why does she have that design on? I don't know. But I know that I'm covered. I know that I'm not revealing anything. And so for me, it's just me being expressive. And so when people see me like that, they already know, listen, she's very confident, because the way you dress does show that. The way you take time for yourself does show that, right? And so let's be honest a bit with it, right? A lot of people aren't just being fake on purpose, right? It's because we are conditioned that way sometimes, right? And this just goes back to what I was saying before. We People aren't doing it on purpose. It's just that we are so in this whole thing today where we don't know what's real, what's not, because of AI, because of filters, because of this, because of that. We don't even know what's what. We don't know what's what. You know what I mean? And so people need authenticity, right? They need authenticity, right? We've been adjusting our personalities for so long till we don't even know who we are sometimes, right? We break down ourselves. We adjust in relationships. We adjust to keep pace with everybody else. We adjust to not be rejected. And so because of that, a lot of ours are not, a lot of people aren't fake. They're just trying to adjust. They're trying to adjust to society. They're trying to adjust to being able to fit in. But what happens is we do that so much that we lose ourselves until we don't know who we are. And so when the world is searching for people to be authentic, they don't even know where to search to, where to turn to. Because when it comes to social media, when it comes to online, when it comes to the internet, it's like you don't know what to believe. You don't know what to believe. And so when people are out and about and they see people just be who they are, I'm noticing that people have something to say, and it's always a pleasant thing, right? Because they want to see authenticity. But when we're talking about adjusting to society or to fit in or to adjust in relationships, you have to ask yourself exactly what is adjusting costing you, right? What is adjusting costing you? Because see, every time you adjust to something, you're actually creating an internal conflict. Let me say that again. Every time you adjust to something for the sake of that thing, whether it's a relationship or to keep peace or to not be rejected or to fit in, whatever, you are literally creating internal conflict. Because see, your inside is saying, this don't even feel right to me. Your inside is saying, this is not feeling comfortable. Matter of fact, you start second guessing yourself on everything because it's not authentically you. You start over explaining yourself. Well, I'm doing this because of this, and this is this way because of this, right? You shrinking in spaces where you're not supposed to shrink in, spaces that you know that when you get there, you are supposed to lead in those spaces. So ask yourself again, when you are adjusting to everything else, what is it costing you? Because the more you adjust, the more you disappear. And then you wonder why people don't see you clearly. You wonder why people don't know who I am. Like I said in the beginning, you don't have to come into a room and say, hey, it's me. I'm authentically me. You don't have to do that. Because, see, when you know who you are, you don't have to tell people about it. They're going to experience it. It shows up in the room before you do. It shows up in the room just like, like there. When you decide who you are, it shows up in the room. And so you have to, again, ask yourself, when you're adjusting to fit in, when you're adjusting to keep peace, When you are adjusting because you want to be liked, you adjust it in a relationship, you're shrinking yourself. What is it costing you? Let me tell you something. I served in the Army for 25 years. Now, I remember them telling me in the very beginning that I wasn't going to make it. They said, you're not going to make it in the military. All right. Now, there was things about myself that I had to pull back because my goal was bigger than what they were talking about. Because, see, it wasn't the military, it was the people. People will try to diminish you. People will try to take from you. People will try to belittle you or try to make you feel like, you know what I'm saying? So I understand that sometimes we have to adjust to certain things so that we can meet the goal. But what I'm saying is that when you do these things, don't get so caught up in it that you don't know. And one of the things I pride myself on is, for again, I said that one of the ways I express myself is through dress. When I was in the military, because we had to conform, like there was no, what you want to wear to work today. No, you wore a uniform every day. Okay. You wore some type of uniform every day, whether it was a PT uniform, it was an everyday battle dress uniform, or if you were in particular, if we had a t-shirt day, it was a matching t-shirt with some khakis, or if we had on our dress blues, our greens, whatever it was we were all dressed alike. So when I would get off work, I would always make it my business to make sure that I dressed the way that I wanted to dress. So it was not too many days that you didn't see me outside of uniform, not in heels, right? 9 times out of 10, you're gonna see me in heels out of uniform, and this is how I am today. Why? Because again, that was part of who I was, right? That is part of who I am, right? And so because why I wanted to make sure that I knew that I had to conform for this. I knew that I had to adjust because I had to get to the bag. Remember, 1% of the population serve and only 20% of that 1% make it to retirement. And retirement is anything over 20 years. You can get an early retirement, but there's too much layers to that. 20 years is minimum. So in order to do that, yes, you're going to have to adjust. But what you don't do is get lost in so much of who you are that you forget, right? Because one thing I was is Yasheka before I joined the army. And so that's what I mean. Adjusting to fit certain things, yes, but don't forget who you are. Okay. The more you adjust, like I said, the more you disappear. And when you don't, and when you disappear, people do not see you clearly. All right. The shift. This is the shift. Energy goes up, and this is leadership. Leadership within your own life. Okay. There comes a point where you have to make a decision. Am I going to keep adjusting to be accepted? Or am I going to stand in who I am and let alignment do the work? Those are things you have to ask yourself on a constant basis. And these are the shifts. And so when you out here pretending, when you out here filtering, when you're out here editing, when you're out here shrinking, when you're out here pulling back, doing all of the things that make you forget who you are, you need to ask yourself these things. Okay? You have to ask yourself these things. Am I adjusting to be accepted? Or am I going to stand in who I am and let alignment do the work? Because, baby, when I tell you alignment does the work, honey, alignment does the work. Mhm. Authenticity will cost you approval, but it will pay you in alignment. That's what I do know. You may not feel approval from other people when you are walking in your authenticity. There are many times where I feel like I am in a room with people who misunderstand me, right? Because I know that I have a big personality. I know I do. I have a big personality. And so because of that, I remember there was times in my life as a kid where like I didn't know, like when we were like let me be clear. Let's be clear here. When we were young, and I'm a 73 baby, so I'm 53 right now. There was no, be yourself. There was no empowerment speeches. There was no, whatever. All you knew was you didn't want to stand out too much because of the simple fact that, first of all, kids weren't nice. And second of all, it was like, okay, once the light is shined on you, then what? And so when you're kids, nobody told you to go off and just continue to just glow, glow, glow. But what I do know is that I would have a natural glow, right? And I'm not talking about my skin, although my skin is flawless. I'm talking about a glow. I would have this thing about me that people would either not like me or they would like me. And I didn't know what it was. And so I remember there was times where I would be like, dang, what did I do? Like, why doesn't this person like I remember it would hurt my feelings because there would be girls. I didn't have sisters growing up. I just got a little brother. So I recall times where I would have, be in school and there would be girls that just didn't want to have anything to do. They didn't like me according to them. And I didn't understand why. I was like, I don't even know you. And I mean, literally, it would be like that. Like I didn't even know you. I was a smart kid in school, right? I was smart, but I was also cute, right? But I was smart and I was also tough. But I was smart and I was cute. So I was all the things, right? Like you couldn't fight me because I was a big girl, okay? Plus I was cute and I was smart, right? And I was athletic, like I was all the things, okay? And like I was all the things. And so I guess they didn't know where to put me at. And so because of it, it was just like, okay, I don't like you. And it was just that simple. They never gave me a rhyme or reasoning. They never gave me anything. It was just that simple. And so because of that, I would have fights. I would have issues with girls, or they would have issues with me simply because I was being Yasheka. And that's what it was. And I remember it used to hurt my feelings. And to this day, it still hurts my feelings when I'm in environments with people and I feel like, well, dang, I'm just being me. Right. But what I do know is that being me has gotten me here. But I also know because I am an empath, I feel that because I'm a reflection of people, right? And what I mean by reflection of people is me having this vibrant attitude. I meet people that wish they did have this kind of vibrant attitude or personality. And so because of it, they will like be nasty towards me or people like me because they want that, right? And they don't know how. And so you have to be aware of these things, right? And that's why I ask you, when you are shrinking, when you are doing these, what is it costing you? Because when I realized that when I got up to some age and I started realizing that it was everybody else, not me, I was like, you know what? I'm sorry because I'm still trying to figure life out like everybody else. And so because I'm trying to figure out like everybody else, I don't know what works. I don't know what don't work. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing as opposed to what I'm not supposed to be doing. I know what the Bible says. I know what's right and wrong, but all the in between, there's a lot of other in between things between. Okay, the Bible says do this and don't do that. My mama say don't do this and do that. Society say don't do this and do that. The law say don't do this and do that. But then there is a lot of things in between that you can do. And trust me, a lot of those times I would find those things out. Okay. I would go discover those things. And so because of that, I was a very intuitive, I was very I was always into something. Right. And so people just, right. But what I do know is that me being in alignment with who I am and the promises that I know that I made when I came to earth, I know I made them. I remember my conversations with God as a little girl. And because of those things, I also know that my alignment will take me further than my approval ever will. Because a lot of times people are not going to approve because they don't. Why would they approve of you being this person? Why would they approve of you being an authentic person when they've had to lie or they've had to pretend or they had to bend themselves or shrink themselves or adjust themselves to fit into these environments? And they have done it for so long that they don't even know how to come out of it. And I'm not talking about just the work environment. I'm talking about relationships. I'm talking about societal environments, just whatever. People do that when you don't do certain things because you're afraid of what other people might say. That's what I'm talking about. Like, literally, the reason why you don't do things is because of what people might say. That's what I'm talking about adjusting and not being authentically yourself. Well, I shouldn't do that because people might say, I better not wear that red lipstick because people might say, I better not paint my nails a certain color. Like people might say, I better not do like if we let ourselves out of the cage, imagine how far the bird will fly. If we let ourselves outside of the cage, imagine how far the bird will fly. So ask yourself, what happens when you stop adjusting? I can tell you what, everything changes. When you stop adjusting, everything changes. The way people speak to you, the way opportunity shows up in your life, the way you move. I'm telling you, when you walk authentically in yourself, these things happen. And it's almost like, what the hell? Right? And it's like, I'm one of them people that I have been walking in this path of understanding, like trying to fit in somewhere. I never knew where I fit in at. I never know where I never, like when I say never, like I cannot remember a place that I've ever been in life where I felt perfectly at home. And what I mean by that is it's always one of those things where I'm always like, okay, because I know that I'm not one thing. And I'm okay with that. I know that I can go into certain situations and blend in yet stand out. And then leave that space with graces and leave that space with having something, but also know that I've only been in that space for this time and it's time to move on to the next space, right? Because I can't stay in one space too long. I cannot adjust to somebody else's standards of my life for too long. I get what I need and I move on to the next thing. Because because I know that I'm a little bit of this, I'm a little bit of that. Just like in school, people didn't know I'm a little bit of everything. So because of that, I'm constantly learning, I'm constantly moving because why? I want to be free to be authentically me. And being authentically me means I don't stay stuck right here for too long. I don't do this right here up under somebody else's guidance. I want to be authentically me. Now, does this mean that I forego morals, beliefs, societal norm? None of that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the things that I want for my life. I can't follow somebody else's life pattern. I have to follow the pattern that's for my life. I can't do things the way people think I should do things, right? Well, if I was you, I wouldn't do this. No, I can't do it the way you want me to do it. I have to do it the way I want to do it. I have to do it the way I know how to do it. Because why? I can adjust to you. Because see, when things don't go the way as they plan or the way I plan, are you going to help me fix those problems? Probably the answer is no. And so because of that, I can't adjust to what you see from me because I have to do it for myself because I have to be there for myself to get myself out of every situation, every obstacle, everything, every beautiful thing that goes on. I have to be the person that gets myself to that next level, right? So what happens when you stop adjusting? Like I said, people speak to you different, opportunities show up, and you move differently. At this point, you're no longer chasing, you're deciding. You make a decision for your life. And it's just that simple. When you are aligned, you don't chase. You attract and decide, and that's it. Nothing else. Listen, listen, ain't no, they say straight, no chasing. That's it. There's that straight, no chasing. Straight, no chasing. Okay? When you are aligned, you don't chase. You attract and decide, and that's it. And you go on about your business. Okay? Because what's for you is for you. What's for you, you will attract. You make a decision and you stick to it, and that's it. You make a decision and you stick to it, and that's it. You don't second guess. You don't think about, well, maybe nope. You make a decision and that's it. Because see, when you start second guessing, you're taking on opinions of other people and what they would do and what no, you keep going. Why? Because we don't know what this look like. We don't know which way is the right way. You got to do what's right for you, right? So as I wrap this episode up, the takeaways, because I need you to know why you are here today. Okay. So I'm going to talk to you real simple and I'm walking through it. Number one, stop over explaining yourself, right? Being authentically you means you do not explain yourself. Like I said, when you are aligned, you don't chase, right? You decide, you attract, and that's it. You go on about your business. You go on about your business. So you don't over explain. You don't pay, you don't pay attention to where you shrink. So in other words, no, excuse me, pay attention to where you shrink. That's what I need you to know. So in other words, if you are walking into certain environments and you feel yourself like, okay, well, I don't want, you need to do a self-evaluation. Why? What is it about that environment that's making you feel this kind of way? Right? Why is it that you don't feel this way? Like you have to do this for yourself, right? Ask yourself, when I go over here, why am I not being authentically myself? Is it something I fear? Is it a person? Is it something I'm trying to keep peace? Do I feel like if I do too much, I might be? You got to ask yourself these questions, right? You got to ask yourself these questions. And the third thing, move like you've already decided who you are. Baby, listen, that is like number one. Move like move how you decided, like you already know who you are. In other words, listen, I know one day I'm gonna be a multi-millionaire. Okay. Now I don't know when. I don't know, baby. If I knew when, I would be. I don't know when. Let me drink to that. Let me drink to that. This I know, and this is why I keep going. Many people tell me, well, Yasheka, you retired, you've done this, you've done that, baby, there's still things that I need to do. There's still things I have to take care of. There's still things that I'm trying to make sure that generationally, even after I'm gone, are good. And so, because I know I've been given this gift, I have to keep going. I have to keep going. And so, as I keep going, I move like as if I'm already a multimillionaire, honey. I'm already a multimillionaire. Baby, I got to check my bank account every time. When I go shopping, I gotta check my bank. Like, let me see how much money I got. I got a little bit to do something with. Mm. I can't go there though. Okay, this outfit right here, I got from Saks Fifth Avenue. Okay, it's like a once every 6 months thing. Okay, can't go to Saks too much. Once every 6 months to a year. Okay, then I go straight to the clearance rack. Straight to the clearance rack. Okay, because I know they good. Their quality of clothes is good. Okay, that's the only reason. Because I know, like for example, this outfit right here, whole skirt and shirt, it's gonna last me a lifetime. Why? Because the material of it is beautiful. Now, again, once every 6 months to a year, okay, check my account. But I still move. Why? Because I already know that the more money I have, the more often I'm going to be in Saks. Because why? I like the quality of their clothes. I like the designs of their clothes. I like the fact that a lot of their clothes are not seen because they make limited of each. Okay, those are the things I like about Saks. And so I like to move as if I'm already a rich, multi-millionaire. I'm not a multi-millionaire. Okay, not yet, but I will be. And so that's what I mean. Move as if you already are. It's just that simple. Move as if you already are. People tell me all the time that I carry myself like I'm a kept woman. I am kept. Okay. I keep me. Okay. I am kept. I keep me. Okay. However, I am a wife. And what I mean by that is I am a wife. I'm not nobody's girlfriend forever. I'm not nobody's situational ship. Now I've been these things, okay? That's why I know I'm not that no more. Okay, I've been there, done that. Remember, this channel is about things I've done myself or lessons I've learned from other people. I've been somebody's, well, we just in a situation. I've been somebody that I've been somebody, probably I've been somewhere too long. I've stayed places probably too long. I suppose I shouldn't stay. Okay. But what I am saying is that I know at the end of the day that I am somebody's wife. And so because of that, that's how I carry myself. Again, 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 again. Move like you've already decided who you are. I know that I'm a multi-millionaire who is somebody's wife. That's who I am. And so whatever definition that means for you, I know what it means for me. I know what it looks like for me in my life. And so I carry myself as such. And that's it. That's all. That's it. That's all. And so in closing, slow it down. Okay. The real power isn't becoming something new. It's in having the discipline to stand on who you already are. And it's just that simple. Because again, a lot of us, a lot of people in this world are not moving authentic, 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 authentic. Okay, maybe I've had a little bit too much. A lot of people are not moving the way they should, authenticity, right? They're not showing it. They're moving not authentically. They're not moving authentically. That's what I was trying to say. People are not moving authentically. And so because of it, when people do see people that seems to be just who they are, I notice that they gravitate towards them. They want to converse with them. They want to exchange energies. They want to do all the things. So when you feel like you are in spaces, you're not showing up as yourself, ask yourself why. What is going on? Because only you know. So listen, 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 listen. I am wrapping up this session, and at the end of this month, we will be wrapping up season 2 of Hood Parenting. We'll be going into season 3. Okay. This right here, this platform is my baby. And what I mean by my baby is that this platform right here is where I will be like showing up and just really, really teaching and instructing and sharing, because I feel that we live in this world right now where there is so much going on. And I'm not just talking about, I mean, the economy sucks, okay? People are out here just doing things to their spouses, right? People, you already know who we got in office, all right? I mean, there's a lot of things going on. Are we at war or are we not at war? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if we at war or not at war. I don't know. But what I do know is that because we are in positions where there's so much uncertainty, people want to be able to come somewhere and get some real conversations, have some real conversations. And so I say all that to say that if there's something that you want to discuss, or if there's a question you have about something, drop it down below, because I want to be here to share. I want to be here to leave, you know, someone with something that can help them. And it's just that simple. I want to be able to share my experiences, baby, because I'm telling you, I've lived 7 lives thus far. I've lived 7 lives thus far. And so, because I've lived 7 lives, I don't want you to have to go through the things I've been through in those 7 lives. I want you to get to the bag quicker. I want you to get to the happiness quicker. I want you to get to the person quicker. I want you to get to. Now, here's the thing: you're going to have to go through your lessons. You're going to have to learn the things you need to learn, but there's some things you don't have to learn. You don't have to go through in order to learn, right? There's some things you don't have to go through in order to learn. And so that's what I want to bring here, right? And so if you are in a season where you've done adjusted and ready to become who you really are, then stay with me this week on this platform, because I have some things that I have, and we are officially. Listen, I know we've been in spring for about a month, but we are especially in spring at my household, because this week we start porch conversations. And if you do not know what porch conversations is, then I suggest you turn on your notifications, subscribe to my channel, so that when I post porch conversations, honey, you will be the first to know. All right, you guys, listen, this has been exciting. I have wanted to do this one for a while, and I hope you pick something up from this. And if you have stayed with me this long, let me know down below. If this is something that you feel like you can learn from, let me know that too. If it's saying, you know what, Yasheka, I ain't learned nothing, tell me that too, honey. Because all feedback, listen, I take all feedback into consideration, honey. That's all I can say. I take all feedback into consideration. Okay, so listen, I don't know who this is for, but I know when I make my videos, they are for someone. But again, keep your notifications on, because, baby, when I tell you I got something coming up for you in season 3, honey, stay tuned. All right. I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye. Have a good week. Have a beautiful, beautiful week.